Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the August meeting of the Wilmot Township Committee of Adjustment. This is kind of a new experience for all of us, so I hope that everyone has a little bit of patience. I'm sure members of committee and staff are highly computer oriented, but your chairperson is not, so I'm the one that'll probably need forgiveness if I make some kind of errors this evening. So please just be kind and patient. I'd like to introduce members of our committee in no particular order. We have Mr. Tyler Bowman, we have Ms. Louise Lalonde, and Mr. Steve Miller are all on your screen. And I think Peter Rowe is just about to join us, or is he already joined us, Mr. Martin?
He is connected audio. I don't see his video connected at this point.
Okay. Well, anyway, I'm sure Peter will be in joining us. And of course, my name is Wayne Roth. We also have with us Mr. Andrew Martin, who is our Secretary Treasurer and Manager of Planning for the Township of Wilmot and the EDO for the Township of Wilmot. And we have Mr. Cameron Miller, who will be introducing all of our applications, as well as he is a planner for the township. And I'd like to also thank Carl, who is our host this evening, for all the work that he's doing. So thank you all. We are an independent body appointed by Wilmot Township Council, and we have the power to make minor changes to existing zoning regulations and to approve some changes to existing non-conforming uses, as well as to give consent. Each application will be notified in writing of the decision of this committee within 10 days. And with that decision will be instructions on how it can be appealed. And the decision made by this committee can be appealed to the local planning appeal board, who will then hold a meeting and make a final and binding decision. Again, the same will apply to decisions on minor variance. Again, with consent, if it is not appealed, it will become final and binding after 20 days from the date of this decision. The format of our meeting this evening will be as follows. We will ask Mr. Miller to introduce each application. The applicant will then be invited to come forward and add any additional item or additional information if they choose to do so. We do not have an audience this evening, so therefore there will be no one in the audience to speak. I will then turn it over to members of committee who can question the applicant or question staff on any concerns they have, and the committee will then make a decision. Members of committee, is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest under the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act this evening? I see none, and everyone is nodding in the negative. So therefore, Mr. Miller, would you please introduce the first application?
If I could just interrupt for a minute, if we could just read the land acknowledgement before we get started, that would be good.
Do I have to read the?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I thought that, okay. Hang on for a minute. We have gathered here in Wilmot Township on the traditional territory of the Neutral and Anishinaabe and the Haudenosaunee and the Mississauga peoples. We also want to acknowledge the importance of the One Dish and One Spoon Covenant, a peace agreement made between indigenous nations before the Europeans arrived. It characterizes our collective responsibility to each other and to Mother Earth. We should take only what we need, leave enough for others, and keep the dish clean. By acknowledging this covenant and the First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people, we are reminded of our important connection to this land where we live, learn, and work together as a community. Thank you. Mr. Miller, would you introduce the first application?
Thank you, Mr. Roth. The first application is a variance application concerning 23 Star Road. The applicant is seeking to reduce the flankage yard setback of a garden shed from approximately 6 meters to approximately 3 meters. So the applicant is proposing to erect this garden shed within a flankage yard. So presently, accessory structures within a residential zone are subject to a rear and side yard setback of 1 meter. But this property being located abutting a side street is subject to a exterior yard setback of 6 meters. In part, this larger setback requirement is to maintain appropriate degree of visibility for cars and pedestrians in the area. The placement of the shed is going to maintain driveway visibility triangle with the abutting neighboring property. So staff are of the opinion that this would not create any visibility concerns for cars and pedestrians exiting or leaving any abutting properties or walking on any sidewalks. In circulating the application, township staff did not receive any concerns and are therefore recommending that the application be approved.
Thank you very much, Mr. Miller. Does the applicant or his or her representative wish to address committee?
Hi everyone, good evening.
He'll be
I
joining
can't
us.
hear anybody.
Yeah, he'll be joining us in just a second. I had to shift him to the panelist section, so.
Okay.
Hi everyone, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Nick Angel. I'm the owner of 23 Style Road, and just here to echo the Cameron's message that I reviewed all the visibility concerns with all the neighbors. Even had it marked on the location so everybody can see where they would go, and no one in the immediate neighborhood had any concerns about the garden shed going in that structure. It was one of my misses when I purchased the property to look into the side lot being a 6 meter variance. I assumed that that back corner being so far back would only have the visibility triangle, and it would also have a 1 meter a meter setback on the side. So I apologize for not documenting myself well before buying the property and having to apply for this minor variance now. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you very much for your consideration.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, members of committee, any comments or any questions? Now I've lost. Okay, Peter's. I see that Peter there now. There are no. I'm assuming there are no questions from members of committee. I've also lost Steve. I don't see Steve, Mr. Steve Miller on my screen. Andrew, what happened?
He is still there. It's just the way your screen to be oriented. So if someone disconnects, I will let you know.
Okay, thank you very much. Seeing no questions, would someone bring forth a motion to approve this application?
I'll do that.
I'll make a motion to approve.
It's been moved by Ms. Lalonde, seconded by Mr. Rowe, that we approve. Is everyone in favor?
Aye.
That motion is carried. Thank you very much. Mr. Miller, would you introduce the second application, please?
Thank you, Mr. Roth. The next application concerns 17 Hillfield Drive, application A03/20. This application seeks to reduce the side yard setback of a 2-story dwelling from 2 meters to approximately 1.2 meters. The applicant is proposing to construct a 2-story addition to a 1-story home. There is no exterior footprint change proposed. The applicant is strictly proposing just to build upward. Basically, the side yard setback is determined by the number of stories in a home. For a 1-story home, the side yard setback is 1.5 meters. A previous application in 2006 reduced this amount to 1.2 meters. So with the addition of an additional story, the setback requirement changes to 2 meters. So this application is seeking to reduce the side yard setback from 2 meter requirement to bring it in line with the existing 1.2 meter setback requirement. The addition as proposed is opposite to the setback in question, as illustrated on the sketch that was attached to the report. Given the fact that the setbacks remain unchanged and that no comments or concerns were received by any neighbors, staff are recommending that the application be approved.
Thank you very much. Does the applicant wish to address committee on this matter?
I'm not seeing any hands.
Okay, thank you very much. Members of committee, any questions? Seeing none, would someone bring forth a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Moved by Mr. Tyler Bowman, seconded by Mr. Steve Miller. Any comments or questions on the motion? All in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much. Mr. Miller, would you please introduce the next application?
Thank you again, Mr. Roth. The next application is pertaining to 33 Mannheim Crescent in Mannheim. The applicant is proposing to increase the maximum allowable fence height from 1.98 meters to approximately 2.44 meters on the rear and side property lines, and as illustrated on the sketch that was attached to the report. So fence heights are regulated by the township fence bylaw. It sets a maximum height of 1.98 meters. This was approved in 2009, and again, one of the intentions was to limit a fortressing effect of a combination of maximum of high fence heights. The applicant has indicated that they're planning on installing a pool in the future, and this needed for additional privacy because of the topography of the property. So they had discussed with neighbors, and initially, after circulating the application, we did receive some concerns, but after the neighbor had discussions with the applicant, they had since withdrawn their concerns, and township staff have followed up with both the applicant and the neighbors to indeed clarify that there was no present concerns for this application, and as such, township staff are recommending that the application be approved.
Thank you. Does the applicant wish to address committee on this matter? Seeing none. Mr. Martin, there's no one. Okay, thank you. Members of committee, any comments or questions?
I have a question.
Ms. Lalonde?
Yes, what happens down the way when the neighbors move and there's new neighbors that come in? They can't complain about that fence down the road? Once it's done, it's a done deal forever?
Yeah, so the public process for the variance applies to the property itself. So when owners change hands, it's still applied to the property. So yes, in essence, it has a lasting effect on the property because the zoning is amended through this variance process through the fence bylaw. So yes, if a neighbor changes hands, the fence height is allowed to remain at that height.
No, I didn't mean the owner of the property. I meant the neighbor next door that withdrew his complaint if he sold his house and someone else came in. But what you're saying basically follows that as well. It stays with the property. Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other comments or questions? If not, can I have a motion to approve? Moved by Mr. Rowe and seconded by Ms. Lalonde that we approve. Any discussion on the motion? If not, all in favor? That motion is carried. Thank you very much. Mr. Miller, would you introduce the next application?
Thank you. The next application is for 3812 Sandhills Road. This application is seeking two variances. The first to reduce the front yard setback of an attached garage from 10 meters to approximately 7.5 meters, and to also increase the maximum allowable fence height within a front yard from 0.76 meters to approximately 1.52 meters. So the applicant is proposing a large addition to the existing house that includes additional living area and a 3-car garage. So within zone 1, a 10-meter setback is applied to the main dwelling unit. And as proposed, that they are proposing a 7.5 meters front yard setback, which is in line with the existing dwelling unit that is constructed. So the existing dwelling unit does not meet the 10-meter front yard setback requirement, as well as 7.5 meters is consistent on some smaller lots, despite this being an agriculturally zoned property. The applicant's also proposing to increase the maximum allowable fence height within the front yard from 0.76 meters to 1.52 meters. Being a rural property, the applicant has stated that the increase in fence height is necessary to provide adequate security to the property. Given the fact that the fence proposed is an ornamental fence, staff are of the opinion that this does not cause any visibility concerns for cars exiting or leaving the property. So as such, township staff are recommending that the application be approved for both of the variances.
Thank you very much. Does the applicant wish to address the committee on this matter? Seeing none. Members of committee, any comments or questions? If not, would someone please bring forward a motion to approve this application? Moved by Mr. Bowman, seconded by Mr. Miller. Any discussion on the motion? If not, all in favor? That motion is carried. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Miller, for doing all of this work for us this evening. Now, the last item of business that we have officially in the meeting is we have to approve the minutes of our last meeting. Could I have a motion to that effect? Moved by Ms. Lalonde, seconded by Mr. Rowe. Any comments on the motion or questions? If not, all in favor? That motion is carried. Thank you very much. Mr. Martin, do we have any indication as to when we might expect the next meeting?
Yeah, so as discussed earlier, we would have a meeting on September 2nd. We do have 2 applications at this point, and we'll be sending out notice shortly, so we don't anticipate any additional ones, but there would be, so it'd be the same format on September 2nd.
The same format that we're doing this evening.
Correct.
Well, I thank everyone for being patient with me, and I think it went quite smoothly, and so that's great, everyone. Have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you on September the 2nd, if not sooner. Take
Okay, I
care.
can get used to this. All right.
Have a good
Take
night.
care.
Be
Thank
safe.
you.
And